As one we walk this earth together. As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her, our mother. As one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her.
Welcome. You've found your way to Souls Emerging, a production of Shadow Genesis through Rise Multiversity. We extend a heartfelt welcome to you. You are the Ascension. We invite you here to join with us, holding space for transformation, ours, yours, and our mother planets. Here we are friends, engaging in the inner work, while supporting one another as we break our chains. Being present for ourselves and each other through deconstruction and soul reintegration allows us to shift and heal. The impulse to share the miracle of transformation in community has brought us out of separation. We now invite you to join this healing circle as we voyage into fertile ground where innate intelligence reboots, blossoms, and finds solution. Ancient and new abilities emerge among trusted, transparent friends. Our aim is to inspire metamorphosis towards freedom and sovereignty. Let us apply our passion for truth to break free, build personal velocity, transcend the matrix control grid. We are all individually the Ascension. We are all a fractal of our planet, of all that is. We have the ability to commune with her directly, share her aspirations and her birth pains. Regardless of how gruesome it appears out there, we have the ability to shift out of distortion, out of imposition. We have the choice in each moment to rise. Welcome.
Her heart beats with our own as one.
Welcome. This is Sienna Lea, Inceptor of Rise Multiversity, and I'm here today with a radical circle of Soul Sisters. Together we invite you to join in on our research that we've been engaging in for over a year and a half. What if we had all that was required to embody life-supportive global transformation right now? What if we could melt the imposed barriers of suspicion, fear, and separation at a grassroots level, stepping into a potency that could gently topple the matrix control grid? Well, we are a grassroots gathering of women who have been working their stuff, supporting one another through the layers of deconstruction and reintegration. Following the concept of the 100th monkey, we believe that small groups of people willing to step into organic connection can stimulate great shift. Stepping through the invisible shields that have enforced our separation, we can embark as a new peace armada staying the course amidst stormy seas. The ascension becomes integral to our ascension. Can we learn from one another as we complete our journeys? Can we reclaim lost and stolen fragments of self? Can we move past the taboo against knowing who we are and our inability to feel ourselves and one another? Can we bust free from our isolation and targeting, black sheep going against the status quo? Could our strength be in our courage to individually pull off the blinders in full empathy and transparency with one another, we have found ourselves in pieces, engineered to hide in forbidden places, ashamed, fearful, feeling less than. What if we came out, a clear reflection to illuminate the shadowlands for one another, taking back our power from the voices that tear us apart? What if we hold those keys? What if a new radical transparency is ours to bust holes in this mean-spirited system once and for all? We open to this possibility now with you, diving in with loving kindness, without judgment, making mistakes, reclaiming freedom, re-establishing our right to sovereignty. Done with the distortions, flowing home, embracing our organic intelligence. We are becoming a new gestalt of potent peace warriors, excavating baggage, dropping drama, unearthing the energetics to live in non-reactivity. They have kept us apart for so very long because they know we have what it takes. So welcome to this tender nest of women mustering their courage to open their deepest emerging selves with you, knowing it just may be a revolution of vulnerability brewing. What will it take to birth a high vibrational fun field where our love softens the blows and builds the fortitude to rise together? Let's find out.
Els, come on. What are you doing?
Great question. Yeah, there is a sense of disorientation. I was sitting with my journal and I got the distinct impression that I was to stop trying so hard. I was to stop pushing. That was what came to me. Stop trying so hard, stop pushing. Because that's almost what Evie was saying earlier about the doing. I'm accustomed to ravenously consuming information. Always I've got 5 books or more in progress of reading. I just cycle through things and find my way through to find that center. And this isn't that. This is really a complete cessation of that. It's not doing. It is more just stop pushing, stop trying. And, it reminds me of Yoda saying, there is no, do or do not, there is no try. So stop trying, just be. It's that, I think that an exercise in beingness.
And in that way,
it's actually, I'm welcoming it. It's odd. It feels disorienting, but it actually feels really good.
yeah, it's what we've wanted all of our lives. It's the self-love to let yourself just be. It's what this world hasn't allowed us to be.
Mm-hmm.
We got shut down at different points, and we've been into the doing, and it's a return to self.
Yeah.
And it's actually holding the field of the organic, of the natural woman. The natural woman is. If she is generous, if she is creative, it's coming from the wellspring of the endless fountain of internal energy that is born out of the void. It's out of the dark matter. It's out of the galactic core. It's out of the darkness. It's out of the silence. We're returning to that with her. And therefore, we're giving it our dedication and focus, and it's growing stronger. I don't get all of it. We all have pieces of this, okay? And we may not even know we have pieces of it, but it's happening. And that sense of, and I hear, Sonia, I hear you going, I don't want to go to work. I just had lunch with a lovely woman here in Vilcabamba. She was like, I can't work for an insurance company anymore. It's becoming absolutely obscene to engage in this, capitalistic whorehouse to get our needs met, to get our financial requirements met. This pure being has its own intelligence, and it has its own ethics. It has its own integrity. It has its own value, and we're listening. And we're becoming extremely antisocial.
Kind of feels that way.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, it feels like we're moving to another place in space. And it's so beautiful. It has our attention. It has nothing to do with everything that has been created here. It's like we're individuating out of it, standing back in the calm, watching from our divine mountains as it collapses and go, oh, well, it feels that way.
Lauren had some resonance too.
Huh?
Lauren had some resonance with this too.
I very much so can resonate with what you're saying, Els, and I want to offer up a concept of like when it was really happening to me, I was kind of in your place maybe like a year and a half ago, where I would just be like, what? It's 5 o'clock. I've been sitting on the couch. What the hell have I been doing all day, every day? I might have just maybe gone out for a walk or something. I mean, I was really in it. And what I was getting while that was happening was that I was finally learning how to receive, AKA take in feminine essence. Because in the doing, in this society, I mean, I'm a super doer. And I'm sure, and I know you can resonate with that. Like, oh, I'm going to read this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, that's very masculine. That essence is affecting, and it's like penetrating and making happen. And that's what our society is built on. But the receiving requires this kind of like sitting and being that was so foreign. It's so foreign to us. But it's becoming feminine. And sometimes you have to sit for a long time to get, to be like, this is so crazy. I can't, what? Okay, should I just make a call? Make this happen? And you can't, because you can't make anything happen when you're receiving nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good point. For me, it was the act of doing, but for me it was I was trying to get my head back up from being plunged under in a massive deconstruction, and so I was trying to hold on to the edges of the boat as it kept spinning and spinning. So this has been an exercise in also recognizing where I've habitually become conditioned to that doing, and constantly trying to assess where I am in time and space and what's happening in the world. So it's been a huge relief to not do that, to kind of reclaim, go back to who I was, not go back to, I suppose, not go back to the who I was before the deconstruction, but to who I am more, my reconstructed self. So it's part of that process of the reconstruction. And as you just said, receiving, I haven't been through that yet.
Well, and our infinite selves, our souls, and I know HK calls that the spirit, George calls it the soul. I tend to align with George on this. It doesn't matter what we call it. I'm calling it the soul. Our infinite nature is infinite. It's calling us home. We're being called home in the time of the great transition. You know, all ashore who are rowing, going ashore. And we're hearing you. We don't have a language for this. But we are doing it. We are being it. We're being the doing. Yeah. And it often takes an illness. If we don't do it naturally, or deconstruction, or a tragedy or a crisis, not to be martyrs, but we're just so addicted to the programming of, because we are so put down, made worthless. You're just being yourself. That isn't enough in this culture. You have to achieve. You have to become a something. What are you going to be when you grow up, little girl and little boy? What do you do? You know, people don't say, who are you? They go, oh, well, what do you do? I mean, and the only acceptable, worthy stance in this culture is it constantly becoming the not self, going into the mind, navigating through the ego, and obeying the laws of the matrix. And we're not doing that anymore. We're becoming really lazy losers, and we need to stop this. In their eyes, we're being lazy losers. Useless feeders, sitting around contemplating our navels. What a bunch of wimps. So that voice is there.
It's also if you start thinking about it, like how absolutely rich it is, like it's a luxury to be able to do it, you know, because most of the time the matrix makes you like, go to the post office, do this, do that, do this, stand in line, order this on Amazon, you know, all these kinds of things that take away from the luxury of being. And that when it's very uncomfortable because you're like, what, you know, you sit, I mean, I made a joke like, oh, you know, you go to a dinner party and everyone's like, so what are you doing? And you're like, going inward, you know, it shuts down the whole dinner party. You know, nobody knows what to say. But like, it's just an extreme luxury.
It's very rico, muy rico, they say in the Latin world. It's very rich. It's delicious. And it's almost like we can't take it. It's such rich food, and we've been like on this super non-fat diet for so long that it feels disgusting. And it's absolutely the most gorgeous thing.
To attempt, to go for, to be integrating. And what happened in the Schumann resonance, I had an experience of, first of all, just feeling really worthless. These feelings of worthlessness were coming up. And I asked my originating self and Ma both, you know, what is it that I need to look at now? And I could feel myself just like sinking deeper and deeper into something, which finally materialized as, you know, I've faced these parts of myself, and there may be more, where I've misused power. This was a facing of a part of me that had a lot of power and still could not stop. This was in Lemuria. I seemed to be really traveling. I'm not seeming, I am traveling my life, my living, the times in Lemuria, and especially at the end time. And I ended up finding myself underwater, and there were all, these things. It was like, vegetation, trees, parts of buildings, people, and we're all like swirling and swirling and swirling around in this water in Ma's ocean of emotion, and this feeling of worthlessness because there was nothing that I could do. I wasn't able to stop it. And yet the sense of personal power that I had in that time was very great. And there was not only the heartbreak, but there was this sense of worthlessness. And I heard both Ma and I heard my originating self saying to me, this is the time to integrate that power, to face and accept it's all right. It's all right that you weren't able to do anything about that. It's all right in the sense of there were forces that you didn't know how to deal with. And it's all right because that part of you needs to be reclaimed now. That part of you, you're going not beyond, but encompassing even more than that is what you're going for. And you need to reclaim that, accept that part of you and bring it home now. And so Sienna, it was like a microcosm of your macrocosm that you spoke for us all. It was my experience of that, and very profound.
Well, this is exactly the portal of this empowerment. And let's not forget that Lemuria was a place that still had, we hadn't engineered out of our connection to the universal creator totally. And it was a part of the feminine divine was still operational. It's in those severe traumas where they really shut us down. And then these are the places, the wounds that are so where we don't feel that we can exist as our authentic energy, our divine essence any longer. And then we contract to the artificial construct and to the dark side. And we have lived within that compromise all of this time. And now, in this time of the great shift, we're being called back to our essence and to individuate from our complicity with AI, with Team Dark, with all of it. But these are the traumas. The traumas were so severe, and many of our listeners and many of us are going through those. But they've literally shut us down for eons of time with that kind of. And if we're not worthy, we can't stand in our authority, and we can't live in an organic timeline, and we don't light up the grid or up frequency or hold the field for the shift, and we are not able to fulfill what our soul's intention is to do, which is the point of the trauma-based mind control we've all been under. So yeah, it's so beautiful to be connected to that feminine force. We're talking about, there's the divine feminine, which is half of the organic universal creator of all that is, and then that spark that entered the earth, that became the earth. So the earth is a fractal of the divine feminine universal creator of all that is. So when we're communing with Ma, sometimes it's with the divine intelligence of the universal creator. Sometimes it's the planet as she's preparing to move into her natural state. So it's the part of the sisterhood, really. We want, we always want authority. Ma, and I know, a lot of people feel, so she's just doing fine and she's in the know, and which I think much of her is the Sophia aspect, the 5D core, her multidimensional self. I believe that 5D Earth is already in creation, and part of her being is already there. I've had experience of some of those have crossed over that are already a part of that project. There is this small band of where she's as in need of support and what do you call this? Mirroring, modeling, doing it as in sisterhood, and I mean, can you imagine? Because I've had these discussions with her. When the earthquake happened in Ecuador a few weeks ago, 7.8 decimated our coastline. Thousands of people dead. Horror scenes of beautiful families sitting down to dinner and the entire building collapsed and nobody can get to them for days. I mean, horror scenes, massive amounts of them everywhere. Just I won't even go into more detail, and I hear her screaming because that was engineered by HARP, Cern. Was a hit on Ecuador for political reasons and other reasons. And I mean, I still use the ascension word. I know it's politically incorrect now among the New Age community, but the earth is ascending. It's intending to ascend. And she would like to do it in an organic way. But AI and the artificial construct and all of this is manipulating the ascension timeline, trying to stop it. And it's a distortion. It's like she's being induced prematurely. And it's horrible for her. I've been having this dialogue with her that to help her through that, to help her process it. Part of her is just going, well, I'm not going to do it. If this is the way it's going, I'm not doing it. She's actually reacting to that this isn't her way. And a lot of the atrocities, a lot of the way that they take the earth changes that are already happening and then plow these frequencies in to blow it way out of proportion, killing mass indigenous and some of the beings that are closest to her heart, the mass die-offs. And they blame Mother Nature for all this, don't they? Oh, it's just the earth going through her changes. And she's screaming at me, no, it isn't. It's not me. And I think one of the things she's coming to terms with is part of me is holding a distortion. This is part of why I need to ascend. And I need to accept that horrific shadow and pain on my surface and do it anyway. And if it's sooner, then we just better get ready sooner because I can't stop this. This is like not her timeline. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know if any of you are getting any of this, but I'm getting it strongly. When the earthquake happened, Cynthia, you and I, for the first time in years, I could not hear her at all.
Yeah.
It's like, and I saw the image I got was she was like in intensive care. She was in the fetal position. She was knocked out into a coma, traumatized, so hurt that she just went dark. And I felt that there were these feminine beings They were very big. And they were there saying, we're tending to her. You know, it's all right, but she's going, you know, this is a horrible shock because it was an engineered catastrophe. And you felt also, Cynthia, that
Yes.
you couldn't hear her for a few days.
No, I couldn't. And I also, I had a similar thing where I went to Father Son, and he basically said, you know, I'm holding the space for this, but, you know, why don't you talk to this council? And so I did, and at the center of the galaxy, and they were saying that she, you know, I also got that it was, that this was engineered, and that she was going to be all right, but that she was in deep shock, very shock, and in a lot of pain. And that they stressed how important it was for our group to continue to come together and to do the work that we're doing and to hold this space for ourselves and for her and for, you know, for humanity.
I got the same thing, that there was a consul that they were saying, it's okay, we're going to talk to the consul. Now, I don't know who this consul is, but it's some sort of a galactic federation. It didn't feel false light. It felt very organic.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she came back online, she said, it was resolved that the souls that perished are not going to be left in the state of earthbound spirits in trauma, because it broke her heart what happened to these people. And I saw like masses of sort of healers on the other side assisting these beings into going home, not into the I didn't get the specifics of any of that, but it was like she went, okay, I'm back now because they handled it, but I wasn't going to come back until it got handled. That's what I got.
And she's back. She is back.
Yeah, she's back now. But I mean, I heard in this meditation, you know, really take this time to solidify your essence in an embodied and anchored way, because you ain't seen nothing yet. You know, we are really on the edge of big changes. And she's saying, and I can't stop what they're about to do. It isn't her time. I don't mean her time was that much longer, but I got 3 to 10 years. But the humanity's awakening has grown exponentially to the place where they can't contain this thing any longer. So they're accelerating the distortion. So you see, as we are disengaging from their manipulations of any kind and holding our essence in a pure state of love and centered connection, we become invincible and we prepare for the change so that we are not destroyed. Whatever part that we are still attached to and involved in, when it gets destroyed, it destroys us. That's a part of that. Do you see what I'm saying? The people who are deeply embedded in the matrix are going to have a much rougher ride than the people that can let it go and find and are listening and know where to be and know when to head for the hills or have done some food preparation or whatever you're going to know when it's happening. These are the people that will survive the great shift, because it's going to be a great shift. And I'm not trying to give energy to horror and disaster and that kind of scenario. It's a deconstruction that's happening. so, and our beings know this. This is kind of weird. One of our beings are preparing us with her for this.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren.
I have a question. So around the same, I mean, if we're fractals, right? Around the same time, I kind of got this, around the same time as those earthquakes, I kind of got this very strong, like, you may not fuck with me anymore, pardon my French, but like, you may not. And I like, even, I was like focusing on it. And Cynthia, we had talked, and I said I was starting to like figure out this, like how to love myself. And I had to like turn around and abort that kind of process and go straight to, you may not mess with me anymore. And I even set up like a program. I was like, okay, so you guys can set up programs. Well, how about this? I'm going to set up a program. And my program is anything that comes into my realm and any level will automatically be tripped up and go straight to recyclement, straight. So if you want to come and mess with me, you truckload of entities or whoever the hell you are, or whatever you want to do on any level, try it, because you'll go. I'm sending you away. So where is it at her level? Is she going to be like, no, you may not? Like that's for her to get to this place of being like, excuse me, but my free will is this, and no, like, and granted, yeah, these beings or whatever, they have these plans, but in our sovereignty, we can say no. So on this, if we fractal outward in this bigger picture, can she not get to that place of being like, how about no?
You can. I don't have the answer for that. Someone else in the room may have to ask her directly. But this is very much a part of the return of the feminine. The women who are on the pulse of the shift are doing that with love. Thank you for your service, but no, clear boundaries, becoming your sovereign self. I mean, you're an infinite being. Whether the earth ascends, turns into a star, whether World War III breaks out, whether we have an alien, and whatever it is, we're reclaiming our sovereignty. We're disengaging from the vampiristic forces that are leeching the energy from our fields, so that we have the personal velocity, embodied or out of body, to navigate to our desired outcome. And that's kind of needs you. That's my focus right now.
Well, I mean, is it her focus too? That should be her, right? Like, come on, sweetie, tell him no.
In the work that we're doing, we're supporting her in doing that as we strengthen in that. She's strengthening in that as well. It's, it seems to be so interwoven. It's a team effort. We're, all for one and one for all kind of thing. And it occurs to me to add really quick that I don't know if I'm going to reference the latest Star Wars movie. I don't know if everybody's seen it. I recently saw it. There was a scene where the new bad guy, the new Darth Vader character, is mind invading others to gain information that he desires. And the nascent Jedi is resisting to the point of entering his mind. And that just shocks him, because he's like, I mean, that's a completely new experience. Like, who is this person? There's no more Jedi that we know of. And it occurred to me after that, I was experiencing the ear ringing, the high pitched ear ringing. And I know that, that can be inorganic. And I thought, instead of saying no this time, I'm going to go into it and I'm going to push back. and I'm going to see what happens. And it dissolved. And I've been doing more of that. When I have a sense of interference, instead of just saying no, as I have been, I'm going into it and tracing it back to a point. I can't get to the point yet, but it's dissolving. It's like it doesn't want me to go back into it. And that's a new tool for me to do that. But that's another way of exercising my sovereignty, is that I can draw a boundary and then I can go, no, wait a second. You're really invading my space. Who is this here that's doing that? So all the tools that we have of, using mirrors to deflect and to protect our boundaries, I'm taking it the next step further and going, wait, I think this is a Wizard of Oz. I mean, we all hear about how powerful they are. And yes, they are to us in 3D, but not to us in our essential selves. They are not bigger than we are. So it's, we get bigger, she gets bigger. We get stronger, she gets stronger. I don't have an idea of the outcome other than this is the path that we seem to be working, being.
This is exactly what I get. Yes, excuse me. Didn't want to interrupt you, Alice.
No, I'm done.
She has been a martyred. The feminine has been holding space for this experiment unconditionally forever. It's a learning curve for us. So we're a fractal of her. It's a learning curve for her, but her fractals can heal her because her fractals it's our standing in our power. It's how we learn to do this. Each one of us being called to that. And who knows? Because it does seem to me, come on. I'm looking at nature films. I'm looking at her, Yellowstone documentary, which is scary as heck. But the power of volcanoes, the power of her oceans. I mean, there's gigantic power here. She could change the game plan, it seems to me. Why don't she create a sinkhole under the White House? I mean, couldn't she do all this stuff? Why doesn't she do that? Hello? I want to see that movie come real, So, we're following our souls, okay? This isn't a bunch of know-it-all women that have the answers. We're following a calling. We are pioneers on the edge of becoming. And we are, you can call us mad women. It doesn't matter. We're doing it because we're being called to do that. And it is standing in our authority as natural women. And we're going to go into what the queen bitch and the dark feminine is doing, because the artificial construct is creating a breed of women that are modeling the natural women, and they are really, the puppets of Queen Bitch, which is a very hateful, one of the most venomous, destructive forces that has operated through women through eons of time. And it isn't just the patriarchy. It is the female Illuminati. It is the women being complicit with these horrible agendas. I mean, we have been either whores or housewives until very, very recently, under huge suppression, and much of the world still is. If you look at the Arab world, if you look at the Congo, there are billions of women that could never speak an ounce of their truth, even show their bodies in public to this very moment. But there are so many forces that are modeling this complete suppression of the feminine. And it's all a collective psychic field that is, we are her, you know, boots on the ground. We're her eyes and ears and presence on the surface here. We don't know the power that we have as we decide to become fully our embodied organic timelines and stand in our power, what this could create in terms of the unfoldment of events here. I don't pretend to know what the outcome is in details in that way either.
I did a meditation the other day when I was this planet that you made a comment for a while ago, Sienna. And
you mean the dwarf star, the binary sun? Or you mean
no. I was a planet just to be of her, just to help her, to be there, to keep contact with her, a long time ago. But then I got destroyed because I knew that I was helping her, and I got destroyed. And then I decided to come here on Earth because I have this feeling that she really needs us. She really needs us to be here, and she really needs us to be in our own power in order for her to continue her evolution. So she needs us as well. And we need to be really in our power, the powerful beings that we are. We need to be that, so we can be with her and help her her own evolution, because we help ourselves and we help her as well. So that's what I got on that meditation when I did 2 days ago or something.
Wow. Yeah, so you're getting it too. This is just very real. This is like,
yeah, I'm also getting it that she's a little bit scared. She's a little bit scared about what everything that is happening, because it's also very new for her. So I'm getting that. So I'm getting that's the one of the reasons why she needs us, because we need to help her.
imagine, I mean, you create all of this life, and then all this distortion comes and turns it into predatory, victim predatory, perverse satanic orgy, and all these beautiful children. I mean, can you imagine holding this? And what do? Do I birth into a star and destroy it all? I've had that conversation with her too. I mean, do you want to destroy all your creation, all the beauty? And you know, I've had this conversation where, but look what's happened to them. Look at the suffering. Sometimes I watch things. It's like, you know, I look, use my eyes. Look at this. You need to move on with this ascension process. This is horrible. So, and she's torn. She's caught, you know, between a rock and a hard place too. Like, I mean, I know a part of her will just do it, and a part of her is, you know, a cosmic galactic being that sees things from a much broader perspective, and these are just meat sacks, you know, earth bodies that get recycled, and she knows the infinite nature of things. So it's just a part of her, but that part must feel pretty isolated and alone, because who talks to the earth? I know the indigenous talk to the earth. I know some of us now, the children talk to the earth. The animals love her so much, but she's having to wrestle with that all by herself. And you could, yeah, I would be frozen and as well, and not know where to turn, or what is the right choice to make, or how to. It's imagine holding all of this, and the majority of everything you're holding it from doesn't even believe you exist. I mean, isn't that the feminine? I mean, the mother, you know, in the middle of a big family, or even a woman who's doing a big business. I mean, holding it all together, doing everything a woman does, the multitasking insanity of it all, and is basically ignored. Like, because often the ego says, oh no, I'm doing it. You know, like they always say there's a great woman behind every man, because the man needs the feminine energy to ground and anchor and connect and manifest. But they all act like they're doing it all by themselves. I'm not trying to polarize men bad, women good. I'm just saying, talk about, I mean, that sense of being ignored, and you know, in your life, Sonia, working, caring for others, holding the space for good, and just getting pooed upon and, you know, acted like you don't even exist, let alone you've done all that. How about a little acknowledgement, you know? I mean, I don't know if I would want to let go of an experiment I was doing for a bazillion years without even some acknowledgement that I existed. It's a strange situation. I'm really glad to hear that you're getting that as well. Okay, I know you talk about this, and then my own super ego goes, you know, you've just lost your mind. You certainly can't put this out for anyone else to hear. I mean, you lunatics can share this among yourselves, but really? You're going to actually put this up on YouTube? Yes, I am. Well, we've been here for quite a while now. I'm very happy to hear any other sharings, but it's not a requirement. Or anything where if somebody's feeling incomplete or stuck or lost or whatever, this would be your time to communicate.
I'm really resonating with what everybody is saying, and I think one of the things that keeps going over in my mind is how fragile we can get knocked off center, for one thing. But what is going over and over in my mind is vibration, and it's like syncing, not just syncing, but syncing up with Mother Earth's vibration. We have so many things coming at us that are shifting how we're vibrating, and it's making us lose that connection. So for me, it's that relaxing into that, it's really hard to describe, that knowingness, that solid, that base, where you feel so comfortable and confident. And when you're getting all kinds of really good information, and then something comes along and knocks you off, well, getting back to that vibration of Mother Earth is, I'm not explaining it very well.
You are explaining it very well, actually.
Oh, well, good. I'm a little tired, so things are flitting in and out of my mind right now. Trying to reconnect to Mother Earth. And I think this past week, even the past month, I've been in and out of it. And I've been crabby the last few days because I've been out of it, and I want to sync back up with her. I want to relax back into that feeling of power, and I've just, like, in my mind, just screaming, and I'm wondering if that's Mother Earth screaming, you know.
It can be, and you know, some of us are going to feel the pain with her. I mean, some of us are going to be empathetic with the earth. It doesn't mean that that's our endless job description, to feel her horrific pain. But those of us that take it as an honor and a gift to share that do need to be sisters with her and help her through that. And there's the space fence now. Kev Baker did a great show on the space fence. Oh my goodness, they're heating up the atmosphere. They are doing everything in the kitchen sink They're hooking up Cern, they're hooking up HARP, they're doing all of this to create an environment, this soup that's going to all attached to the AI, the central, you know, and we're all getting chipped with the chemtrails. We're all getting, I mean, it's a gigantic move in and get as many of us hooked into it as we possibly can. The chemtrails have nanobots that are plugging us into this gigantic AI. It's all happening. And then the galactic waves, the photon belts, there's so many, the gamma bursts, they're creating these huge upgrades in energy. And so we've got massive interference that is very invasive, and we have massive energetic upgrades the whole magnetosphere dropped. There was no magnetosphere for 2 hours a week or two ago. So the pole shift is also happening. I mean, this is an extremely challenging time to be embodied. And this is also why we're being called to really build our field, our energetic field, to withstand this. I think we have to take it seriously. I don't mean not laugh and, you know, share fun and as much of that as possible. But I think it also stimulates the ego because it's uncomfortable, princess. You know, I mean, the princess with her idyllic life, there's my little, you know, shadow dominatrix whipping you here, that the princess is not comfortable. And she is throwing into it, and she's getting a little bit like, wait a minute, you know, well, I'm just going to get an attitude here. I'm just going to do something to cope with this because this is pushing on me, you know. And the ego, remember, I mean, our egos, their job description is to keep us safe and to get us back in charge and in control, which is completely impossible task to do. But they're trying, and their little ego just is trying like heck and fighting against all of that. And then the soul is saying, surrender. You can't just, you know, be. And you will find your way home through this, whatever it takes. But you will be dead to your old self. But so the ego is inflamed. You know, I can feel that in you. It's just like, I always had my way. What the heck is this? You know, I mean, I've been growing and shifting and changing, but at the end of the day, I get my way. You know? Well, guess what? That ain't going to be happening that much longer. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Sonia's resonating with this. You got a little princess in there too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Comfort zone is dissolving like sinkholes. But that's because we are so addicted to the artificial construct that it's, I mean, partly, you know, you say, well, why does it have to be this way? It's partly because of us. Because we're so addicted to this, it's having to get really uncomfortable. Did you ever think I feel she wants as many to go with her as possible. So in one way, she goes, well, bring it on. Bring on all this nasty stuff they're complicit with now. Make it so uncomfortable that they return to their core essence because there's no way out of here except for through that Stargate that is the hardcore essence, that is your 5D center. There's no way out of here without upping frequency, integrating. There's no way that the ego can find a way out. This is a prison planet. We're trapped here. And she knows we're all trapped here too. So
if it's comfortable, why would we do anything?
It's getting really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Exactly. You got to make it so uncomfortable that you're going to go out and seek something better. What's more real? What's, you know? life has got to be better than this. Let's go find it.
Or sit on the couch like Lauren did for all of that time, because she was bleeding so much she couldn't do anything but totally surrender, and finally, horror of horror, have to just be there with herself. I mean, we're allergic to ourselves. We have been programmed to be allergic to ourselves and allergic to the life force. This is what keeps us running back into the artificial construct, because we're addicted to it. We're addicted to it. And it's now going to bite us severely in the ass.
Well, and it's addicting in itself. So it plays, it's like, it's got its own hook. I mean, it's not just us. It's planned this way. It's addicting stuff.
Yeah, and all that artificial content would love to just absorb you into their next hive mind or take you off world, whatever, all the different plans and agendas. And a lot of people will go, you got some great Jesus, holographic God, UFO coming to save me and tell me what to do. And I'm there, enlist me, make me feel better, get me out of here, save me. We're saying, well, there's another process of becoming sovereign. It feels to our false self or the not self like absolute failure, death, and destruction and annihilation. So you could say, well, why doesn't she stop this? She wants it to happen. I mean, she may be stalling off long enough for it that we have to differentiate from this thing, that though it's all ashore who's going ashore. The call is out. There are groups like ours, and I'm sure there are many others in their own ways that are going, I'm not playing. Game over. I'm returning to my organic timeline, to my authentic self, whatever you want to call it, to my infinite nature. That's number one. That's all. That is what I'm doing this lifetime. Everything else is bullshit, is secondary. There's nothing else to do, and we're doing it. But it takes that level of dedication. And if you don't have it, they turn up the heat, and you're either going to get reabsorbed into the matrix or the next great seduction that they roll out, or you're going to go for it and do whatever it takes. And there's a lot of help from Kambo, from ayahuasca, even though those are compromised. There's from natural food, from all of the healing that's opening up, from our connection to the divine. That's as we're pulling out the cords to the artificial, this Vesuvius of authentic being is rising up within us. And from there we can manifest, as we get better at it, the realities that are in our hearts and our souls to make. But it's uncharted territory. And we, I don't know, we all want to know, when, give me a date. When is this happening? What's it going to look like? Where should I be? Which country is going underwater next? Where's the next? Should I prepare? It's like, really? And our best protection is direct connection to our infinite being, our originating cells, to life itself, to the sun, to the earth, to the pleroma. I really believe we will be told where we need to be if we're willing to face what it says, because it could say you need to get out of where you are, and that could be uncomfortable. But if you're really willing to face it, you are going to get told just where to be. You're going to be okay. But only if you're hooked up enough to the organic to even get the real truth. And we're all running onto the internet, is that one right? Is that the real story? And now they're just working us big time, because it's so much of it is a mishmash, a murky pond of distortion. and it's got our attention because we're fear-based. It's incredibly seductive. It's fascinated. Everybody and Aunt Sarah is out there telling us, you know, that Nibiru's flying, that this thing's happening, the underworld's coming tomorrow, the collapse is coming in 2 days. He knows for sure. He's never been wrong. That, you know, it's just like, and they're all wrong, and we're still listening to them. And it's like, I'm sure that's why they keep us on the internet, because it just creates insanity for everybody. And that's why we're disengaging, and Els is turning off her computer, and we're going within because we're getting to the organic, and we have to get to the organic. We have to live the organic in order to be in the right place for ourselves.
I don't think that the artificial construct can exist in the frequency of an awakened heart. You know, like even those nanobots, they don't work when your heart frequency. It's like the wrong channel for them. So it's like, yep, throwing them off with a good dance, throwing them off with a good laugh, throwing them off with a good, you know, like throwing them off. And I've noticed, like, everybody in my world is doing their own upgrade right now. I really don't know anybody that's not. So it's got to be happening en masse, and like they can throw as many crazy nanobots as they want. It's like they don't work on that channel.
That's right.
I agree.
No, we're way more powerful than we've ever been even fathomed that we are. Yes, and all the researchers that are way into the black goo and in the AI, you listen to all the feeds, and I listen to way too much of it. They all say that exactly what you said, Lauren. The love frequency is the medicine. It is the cure. But, you know, so it's not a but. It's and we need to really be embodying that frequency and not just in our heads talking about it or pretending to ourselves that we're embodying it. That's the task at hand. Because all the not self stuff that we have taken on is not love. And so we clean that up, we own that, we alchemize that, and we really enter this presence. And this is a love field, and that is the cure. The only cure that I have ever heard anyone come up with to this point.
Me too.
And once that beingness starts to set in, then you start learning the next, what I'm getting is the next step is taking that beingness and creating from that beingness. So it's almost like you're doing again, but it's like a new doing. And it's this new, it's like because the beingness is just stillness, then takes on this new form of expression where you learn to do, but in a being way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the baby in the womb is being nurtured and fed and floating and growing and being. The baby in the womb is being, and then you're born. And that, yes, it's our creation, whether it's in this 3D reality, an ascended earth, some other place, in a body, doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It is infinite creative potential birth from authentic presence. It is the new paradigm, and that is the feminine process of giving birth. We are, and the feminine is returning. We're the glue, but we're also the birth wombs. We're also the material out of which the new creation is born. And, you know, no surprise that they're full of fibroids and toxins, and that our wombs are being targeted, because that is creation. That's the pleroma. It's infinite, the creatrix of all that is. And she's coming back saying, I ain't buying this. I'm worthless and I can't do nothing BS. I'm coming back, and I'm going to have fun. because the feminine does create fun. The feminine creates light and creates fun, and a whole different world than this heavy-handed patriarchal control, lockdown, hellhole, war is the biggest game in town. Give us a break. It's a whole other world coming out of us. Yeah. No, I don't think we're meant to be, bracing ourselves for the end of the world and holding in utter silence as the final outcome. It's just the moment. And who knows, as we manifest these new energetics, what ripple effect that will have.
This man that I want to,
yeah,
this scientist, like a scientific perspective that I met in Sedona, he was saying that this pole shift is happening, and they can tell from like other rock formations that it had happened again based on or it had happened earlier so this isn't the first time that it's happened, that atoms are facing a different way or whatever. I don't know about the specifics, but something where you can tell scientifically that all of a sudden something was happening this way, and then all of a sudden, bloop, and it doesn't take very long. And he said this pole shift, none of us know what's going to happen, and it could happen at any time, and it's not going to take very long, 3 days at the most, like in whatever our perspective. But it doesn't, it's like we're all thinking like, oh, well, what if this continent sinks, and what if that happens, and what about those people and everything? But we're all going to be going through this like whoosh, and it's going to happen in a minute, and I mean, in a nanosecond in terms of everything. But I think a lot of our discomfort comes from like, well, what is it? What is it? What is it? What's going to happen? Now what? So I think that, that what I'm getting is that center your heart, expand it further and even further, and really live by that. Like when we expand our hearts, like what does it mean to feel into each other and really be like, oh my God, I love you. I love you guys. This is so awesome. And to like really create that and hold the frequency and create it real. Like when we blow our heart centers up, like what is it like when you take it to the restaurant? What's it like to take it to the post office? What's it like? What does it feel like to hold that frequency? Because in that's all the preparation that we really need to do. Right? I don't know. I mean,
you do know. Stop saying you don't know. Beautiful. Beautiful share. Thank you. No, I know I get at the end of a sentence and I go, what, have I lost my mind? What did I just say?
Well, I just made that up.
But we okay. All right. It feels like we're coming to the end of this. Do you have a poem that might be appropriate to close us, Eve, that's anywhere on topic with any of this? Did you have anything you wish to share of your experience?
During the Schumann resonance, I just got that it's emotional strengthening and being able to self-source, like love. That's what the withdrawing is, so you can be stronger. That's what I got for me.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, just about that.
So you're getting the same thing we're all getting tonight. Yeah. All right. So George is going to be with us on the 28th. What's he calling it? The Investigation Deepens, Q&A with George Kavasalis. I'm looking forward to that. And I just bring him up because he's very supportive of this research that we're doing. And I know a lot of people will ridicule us and invalidate us because we're not scientists and we're not researchers with great bibliographies of, and we can't prove it with our left brains, the things that we're experiencing here. It's coming from direct experience and a lot of very deep and penetrating inner work. And Brother George really gets the validity of that and the truth of that. And it's so wonderful to have a male that's supportive of the emerging divine feminine onto the planet, because they're so few and far between. So just wanted to say that. So shall we close? Okay. Any closing remarks? I guess I could say that, so this is our podcast 2 of Soul Sisters Rising. And if anybody is interested in doing some of the inner investigation, check us out at Shadow Genesis at risemultiversity.org, and the various offerings that we have that are supporting and helping empower the grassroots awakening that's happening for people all over the world. And our heart goes out to all of you at this time. It's not an easy time to be present. And we invite you to share our offerings and our presence. And if you have any questions, any concerns that you'd like addressed, you can contact us at the contact form at risemultiversity.org. And we will address your questions on our next podcast. So go ahead and send us some. All right. Okay, we're going to say good night then. Good night, everyone. And much love to each one of you, sisters. It's been such an amazing experience to be with other people that are as insane as I am finally after all these years. And I know that there's a whole bunch more of us crazy wild women out there that can unite and be an incredible force of love.
As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her our as one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we walk this earth